Argentina's winemaking story. It goes way, way back, like the 1500s.
Yeah, talk about old roots in the New World. It's pretty amazing.
And that's exactly why we're digging in today. You sent over this fantastic pile of information on Argentine wine.
Articles, research.
Maybe even notes from that Mendoza trip you're planning, right? So our mission here is to basically pull out the absolute best bits, the most fascinating insights, save you some time.
And hopefully make you feel like you really get it.
Exactly. So you can really savor what makes these wines just so special.
Absolutely. And what's striking about the material, the sources you shared, is just how broad it is. We're seeing everything, history, but also like super specific details on vineyards.
Yeah.
So our goal is to sort of weave this all together, give you a really clear picture of the whole Argentine wine scene.
Okay, let's get into it then. This deep dive, it's all about understanding the magic behind Argentinian wines.
That's a good way to put it.
We'll explore the terroir. It's incredibly diverse, mainly thanks to the Andes.
Huge influence.
Then we'll do a kind of virtual tasting tour through the key regions, see what they're known for.
Their signature styles, yeah.
And finally, we'll look at the passion, the history, what makes it all so vibrant.
The human element.
Think of us as your guides, your sommeliers for this journey. Ready?
Let's start right at the foundation, the bedrock. Terroir Argentino.
Terroir.
And you really can't talk about Argentinian terroir without talking about the Andes. They just dominate the landscape.
You really can't. They're not just a pretty backdrop, are they? They act like this massive climate regulator.
Totally. It creates this incredible patchwork of microclimates.
And the altitudes, vineyards way up, often over, 3,000 feet, just wild.
It is staggering, and it's amazing what that altitude actually does to the grapes.
How so?
Well, you've got thinner air, much more intense sunlight,
Right.
and these huge temperature swings between day and night. That combination creates a very specific environment for the vines.
Like a stress environment almost.
In a good way. It's like putting the grapes on a high-performance slow cooker, maybe? It really intensifies the flavors but keeps the freshness.
Okay, so how does that actually translate into the wine? What do we taste?
Well, you get grapes with really concentrated aromas, like really punchy, plus a wonderful, refreshing acidity, a real colonizing, and tannins that are often really elegant, not harsh.
Okay.
That big temperature difference, the diurnal range your sources mention, that's key for locking in the acidity.
Right, keeps it from getting flabby.
Exactly. And the strong sun builds up the sugars, of course, but also those phenolic compounds.
The stuff that gives wine color and texture.
Precisely. Color, texture, and importantly, the ability to age well.
And it's not just height, is it? The sources mentioned a whole mix of soils. Alluvial, calcareous.
Oh yeah, the soil mosaic is crucial too. It's like the earth itself is adding different flavor notes.
So different soils mean different tastes.
Definitely. Those calcareous soils, for example, they talk about them a lot in the Val de Uco. They often give the wines this distinct minerality, a kind of flinty edge sometimes, and finesse.
Okay. And then you have the bigger climate zones too.
Right. Continental climates, those big temperature swings we talked about, they help build robust tannins. Then you might have more Mediterranean influences in other spots, leading to maybe softer, riper fruit profiles.
It's complex.
And within all that, the microclimates are just vital. Even a tiny change in slope or which way the vineyard faces.
They make a difference.
A huge difference. You get wildly different expressions of the very same grape, sometimes just meters apart.
Wow. So it really is this whole intricate dance then.
Yeah.
The mountains, the altitude, the soils, the climate, these tiny local conditions.
It all comes together.
That's what crafts the unique character. It's not just one thing.
Exactly. It's the whole symphony, as you said. And connecting this back, understanding this complex terroir is really fundamental.
Yeah.
It's how you start to appreciate the incredible diversity and, the unique identity that Argentinian wines offer.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, let's hit the road then, virtually speaking. A tour of Argentina's wine regions. First stop has to be Mendoza, right? The big one.
Oh, absolutely. Mendoza is the undisputed heavyweight. It dominates production.
And within Mendoza, there are key areas.
Yeah, several really important subregions, and they each have their own kind of personality.
Okay, so first up, Luján de Cuyo. The sources really highlight its Malbecs.
Yeah.
Concentrated, elegant. Sounds like it has history.
It definitely does. Think of Luján de Cuyo as like the historical heartland for Malbec in Argentina.
The original.
Pretty much. Lots of old vines there, planted in stony soils. They give this classic elegance. It was one of the first areas where they really saw Maldec's potential. It had the right conditions, altitude, good drainage, lots of sun.
And old wineries, too.
Oh, yeah. Many of Argentina's pioneering bodegas are there. Places just steeped in tradition.
Okay, then we shift to the Valle de Uco. Sounds like the newer, hotter region. High altitude, finesse.
That's a good description. It's definitely got the buzz. The elevations are even higher in the Uco Valley.
Pushing the limits.
Right. And that results in wines with remarkable finesse, really bright acidity, freshness.
You mentioned the soils there, too. Calcareous.
Yes, exactly. Plus, you have that diverse mix of terroirs and those big temperature swings again. It often gives the wines a real mineral edge.
And specific spots within Uco. Altamira, Gualtalari.
Yeah, Altamira, Gualtalari, La Consulta. These are names you see mentioned a lot, especially for top Malbecs.
What makes them special?
They often show incredible elegance, real complexity, and because of that altitude and acidity, fantastic aging potential.
Gotcha. And we shouldn't forget Maipú. Sources put it alongside Luján de Cuyo, historically speaking. Classic wines.
That's right. Maipú shares that deep history. It's another cornerstone, producing really traditional benchmark styles.
So Luján and Maipú are the traditional heart. Uco is the high-altitude star.
In simple terms, yeah. And your sources also mentioned other valleys in Mendoza, Tupungato, San Carlos.
Right, contributing more volume and becoming tourist spots.
Exactly. Growing in importance, and places like Domaine Bousquet, Adamis, Fournier are offering really cool visitor experiences there too.
Okay, Mendoza's clearly king, but Argentina's got more up its sleeve. Let's head north. Salta. Sounds completely different. Extreme altitude Torrontés.
It is a different world up there. Salta, especially the Valles Calchaquíes region, boasts some of the highest vineyards on the planet. Seriously high.
Wow.
And that leads to incredibly distinctive wines, especially, as you said, Torrontés.
And Cafiate is the Torrontés capital. What's the deal with Torrontés from there? Why is it special?
Well, those extreme conditions in Cafiate seem to just turbocharge Torrontés' natural aromatics.
Cocoa charge?
Yeah. Like imagine sticking your nose in the glass and getting hit with rose petals, Jasmine.
Intense florals.
Super intense. Plus bright citrus, grapefruit, lemon. It's just incredibly expressive. Really jumps out at you.
Sounds amazing. But Salta isn't just Torrontés, is it? The sources mentioned other grapes doing well up there, too.
Correct. You find Malbec in the Valles Calchaquíes, often with good structure, but maybe softer tannins than you'd expect from lower down. Complex aromas, too.
Interesting.
Cabernet Sauvignon can be really elegant, built to age, with firm tannins. And even Tanit, which is usually quite rustic, shows surprising complexity and potential up there.
Okay, heading south now. San Juan. Known for Bernarda and Syrah. Sounds warmer.
It is. San Juan generally has a warmer, drier climate. Lots of alluvial soils. Seems ideal for grapes like Bernarda and Syrah.
So what's Bernarda like from there?
Often really intense, juicy fruit, some red and black berries, and usually soft tannins. Makes it very approachable, easy drinking.
And Syrah. More structure.
Yeah, Syrah tends to be more concentrated, complex, dark fruits, black pepper, sometimes a smoky thing going on, firmer tannins for sure.
Okay, and they grow other stuff too. Cab, Malbec.
Oh yeah, you'll find the usual suspects there too. Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec, even some Torrontés.
And further south again, La Rioja, not the Spanish one.
No, definitely the Argentinian one. Also high altitude wine, strong sense of tradition there too.
And the landscape sounds incredible. Talampaya National Park.
Stunning landscapes, really striking, and apparently a very rich local culture. Great hospitality. Adds to the whole experience.
Okay, way down south, Patagonia. Cooler climate. Right?
Yeah.
So different grapes again.
Exactly. Much cooler. That's where you start seeing really good Pinot Noir and Chardonnay gaining recognition. It just shows the incredible range Argentina has.
It really does. North to south, hot to cool, high altitude.
And don't forget the emerging regions. Your sources briefly mention places like Buenos Aires province, Neuquén.
Really? Near the coast?
Yeah, they're starting to make some interesting wines, adding even more diversity.
Wow. And across all these places, wine tourism seems like a big deal.
Huge. It offers amazing opportunities to experience the wines right where they're grown, often in these breathtaking settings.
Okay, let's shift focus to the grapes themselves, the stars of the show. And we have to start with Malbec. It's the grape, isn't it?
It really is. It's become synonymous with Argentina. What's so cool is its journey,
From France originally.
Yeah, a minor player in Bordeaux, mostly. But it found its true home, its best expression, in Argentina. It just flourished there like nowhere else.
So when someone drinks an Argentinian Malbec, what are the key things they should taste or smell?
Well, first, the color. Often really deep, inky purple.
Okay.
Then on the nose, typically loads of dark fruit, plum, blackberry, cassis.
Dark fruit.
Often some violet, like a floral note. And spices, especially if it's seen oak, think black pepper, maybe clove, vanilla.
And on the palate, big and bold.
Usually full-bodied, yeah. But the tannins are often surprisingly soft, velvety even. Good acidity keeps it balanced, not too heavy. And a nice long finish.
But it's not all the same, is it? The sources stressed how terroir shapes Malbec. You get different styles.
Hugely different. Altitude, soil, winemaking, it all makes a mark. You can get Malbecs that are fresh, fruity, almost juicy, all the way to incredibly complex, powerful wines that can age for decades. It's incredibly versatile.
And it's tied into the culture, too. Asado, the barbecue.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Your sources rightly point that out. Malbec and asado, it's like the quintessential Argentinian pairing. Wine is just woven into daily life there.
We have to mention Catena Zapata, too, right? Iconic Malbec producer.
Definitely. They were pioneers in high-altitude Malbec and really showing the potential of specific sites. Wines like their Malbec Argentino or the Adriana Vineyard Malbecs.
Top-tier stuff.
Absolutely. They represent a real vision for quality and expressing that unique terroir.
Okay, so Malbec is the king. What about the queen? Torrontés, Argentina's signature white.
Good analogy. Torrontés is definitely the aromatic counterpart. It's really unique to Argentina.
And its defining feature is that aroma.
Oh, yeah. It's intensely floral, like we said before, roses, jasmine.
Right.
Plus zesty citrus lemon, grapefruit, sometimes a little hint of melon or peach underneath. It's just so fresh and aromatic.
Sounds like a great food wine.
Definitely. Especially for lighter dishes. The sources mention pairing it with light or even spicy food. It cuts through beautifully.
It's fantastic that Argentina has such a distinctive white grape like that. Really sets them apart.
It really does. Okay, then there's Bonarda. Your sources say it's the second most planted red.
Yeah, which surprised me. I don't hear as much about it.
It flies a bit under the radar, but it's important, offers a different profile to Malbec.
How so? More red fruit.
Exactly. More vibrant red fruit. Think cherry, raspberry, maybe some floral notes, a spicy touch.
And the structure?
Generally softer tannins, good acidity. Makes it really versatile and often great value. It does particularly well in Mendoza and San Juan.
It's like one to watch. Maybe the next big thing.
There's definitely potential. People are working to get it more recognition as a quality Argentinian grape.
Okay, and then the international stars, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, they grow well there too.
They certainly do. Argentinian Cabernet Sauvignon has really found its groove.
Why does it work so well there?
Well, that sunny, dry climate, plus the big temperature swings.
Well,
It seems perfect for Cab Sauv.
so what's it like? Similar to, say, Napa Cab.
It can have that power, yeah. Concentrated, black fruit, spice, sometimes a little leafy or herbal note, full-bodied, structured tannins, definitely capable of aging. It gets serious international praise.
Okay, and Merlot, often seen as the softer one.
And it often is in Argentina, too. You get that characteristic softness, velvety texture.
Aromas.
Ripe red fruits, mostly, maybe hints of chocolate or spice. Sometimes a subtle green or herbal touch. It's versatile. You can find easy-drinking fruity styles, but also more serious, structured Merlots.
It's amazing the range. Malbec, Torrontés, Bonarda, Cab, Merlot.
Yeah.
And the sources mentioned others too. Pays, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc.
Syrah, Tannet, Pinot Noir, yeah. And there's even renewed interest in some old indigenous grapes.
Wow.
It really paints this picture of a dynamic, constantly evolving wine scene. There's a real spirit of
A
exploration.
dedication to showing what the land can do.
Exactly, through lots of different grape varieties.
Okay, let's peek behind the curtain. The actual making of the wine. It obviously starts in the vineyard, and given Argentina's climate, managing the vines must be critical.
Absolutely critical. You can't just let them go wild. Your sources highlight how the techniques are really tailored to the conditions.
Like what?
Well, trellising systems, how the vines are trained, like spaldera or vaso, to manage sunlight and air circulation. Pruning is key, too.
And water. It's pretty dry in many areas, right?
Very dry, so irrigation is essential. Often drip irrigation, very precise, using water melted from the Andes snowpack.
Wow, direct from the mountains.
Yeah. And controlling the yield, how much fruit each vine produces, is a constant focus for quality. Too much fruit means diluted flavors.
And those high-altitude places like Salta, extra challenger.
For sure. They need specific techniques like careful canopy management, arranging the leaves to protect grapes from that intense sun, sometimes windbreaks, and often harvesting later to get full ripeness.
So it's really hands-on, thoughtful farming. Then the grapes get picked.
Yeah.
What happens next in the winery?
That's where the winemaker's craft really comes in. You've got the basics: destemming, crushing, then maceration, letting the juice soak with the skins.
To get color and tannins.
Exactly. And fermentation, converting sugar to alcohol. But how you do it matters hugely. Temperature control is vital.
Why is that?
Controls the speed and style of fermentation, affects aromas and flavors. And the vessel you use, big stainless steel tanks, traditional concrete vats, oak barrels, each gives a different result.
Right. And then things like malolactic fermentation.
Yeah, that's a secondary fermentation, common for reds and some whites. It converts sharp malic acid to softer lactic acid, smooths the wine out.
And oak barrels. Always a big topic, French versus American.
Still a key decision. French oak tends to give subtler spice, vanilla, structural support. American oak is often bolder, more coconut, dill, sweet spice notes. How much new oak, the toast level, all big impacts.
It sounds like there's a lot of variation between regions, too. Luján de Cuyo focusing on specific plots, minimal intervention.
Yeah, sometimes a more traditional approach there. While in the Valle de Uco, the sources mention more, like cutting-edge stuff. Precision viticulture, using things like clay amphoro.
Clay, like ancient times.
Kind of. It's becoming trendy again. Allows oxygen exchange like oak, but without the oak flavor. They're also exploring new terroirs, making orange wines. Lots of experimentation.
So it's this cool mix of respecting tradition, but also really pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. There's this constant drive for quality and a real openness to trying new things. It feels very dynamic, very forward-thinking.
Okay, so you buy a bottle. How do you know it represents a certain quality or region? Are there official labels or systems?
Yes, Argentina has developed systems for that. There's the Indication Geographica, or IG.
IG.
Yeah, it basically says the wine comes from a specific geographical area, links it to its origin, its terroir.
Okay.
Then there's a higher level, the Denominación de Origen Controlada, or DOC.
DOC, like in Europe.
Similar idea. DOCs have much stricter rules. Which grapes you can use, specific winemaking methods, maybe minimum aging times.
For specific smaller areas.
Exactly. It's all about protecting the reputation and guaranteeing the authenticity and quality associated with that specific place. Like DOC Luján de Cuyo for Malbec.
Got it. So those labels give you some assurance about origin and quality. Now let's zoom out a bit. Wine isn't just agriculture or chemistry, it's culture, right? And Argentina seems to really embrace its wine.
Oh, deeply. The history, as your sources show, goes back centuries. Those first vines in the 16th century. Then the huge wave of European immigrants in the 19th and 20th centuries, they brought their wine cultures with them, really fueled a golden age of production.
It was baked into the national identity.
Absolutely. There's a real sense of pride, a passion for wine. It's part of who they are.
And how people drink wine has changed, from basic table wine to more premium stuff.
Definitely. There's been a big shift. People used to drink huge amounts of simple vino de mesa. Now there's a much greater appreciation for quality, for fine wines.
And newer drinkers are interested in the story. Sustainability, experiences.
Exactly. Your sources point this out. Younger consumers want to know more about where the wine comes from, how it's made. Is it organic? Is the winery sustainable? They want experiences, not just a product.
Which ties into wine tourism again. It seems massive there.
It really is. It's become a huge driver for the regions. You've got the stunning scenery, the amazing wines, the welcoming culture.
A winning combo.
Totally. Places like Mendoza, with all its different valleys, and Salta up north, they offer incredible experiences. Great hotels, restaurants, tours, tastings, the whole package.
Sounds like a dream trip for a wine lover. And what about critics and sommeliers? Do their opinions matter much for Argentinian wine?
They definitely play a role, especially internationally. Scores and reviews from well-known critics can really boost a wine's or a region's reputation.
And sommeliers in restaurants.
Yeah, they're crucial for introducing people to new wines, sharing knowledge, building that appreciation. They help educate consumers.
Of course, it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the big challenges facing Argentinian wine? Climate change must be one.
It's a huge one. Rising temperatures, worries about water availability in dry areas, more extreme weather. It's impacting vineyards everywhere.
So what are they doing about it?
Well, the sources indicate there's a growing focus on sustainable practices. Water management, cover crops, organic farming, lighter packaging, trying to adapt and mitigate the effects.
And competing globally. It's a crowded market out there.
It is. So Argentina really needs to keep focusing on quality, first and foremost, and highlighting what makes it unique, that diversity of terroir, those signature grapes like Malbec and Torrontés.
Standing out from the crowd.
Exactly. Differentiation is key. Plus, continued investment in research, smart marketing, and crucially, the energy from the new generation of winemakers bringing fresh ideas.
And we can't talk Argentinian culture without mentioning food. Wine and food pairings must be central.
Oh, absolutely central. Gastronomy is a huge part of the experience. We mentioned Malbec and asado,
The classic.
but also things like Torrontés with empanadas, or maybe with spicy, flavorful Northwestern cuisine. There are fantastic regional dishes that pair beautifully with the local wines. Your sources even touch on the specific food scenes in places like Maipú and Mendoza.
It makes me hungry just thinking about it. Yeah. And before we finish, we should probably shout out a few other key producers besides Catena Zapata who've really shaped things.
Good point. So many great names. Luigi Bosca, for instance, real tradition in Luján de Cuyo. Achaval Ferrer, known for incredible old vine Malbecs, really concentrated. Zuccardi, especially in the Valle de Uco, they've done amazing work exploring different terroirs, really precise stuff. And maybe El Enemigo or Aliana, Adriana Catena, and Alejandro Vigel's project, known for really interesting, sometimes experimental blends.
So many passionate people driving quality.
Exactly. It's a collective effort that's elevated Argentinian wine.
Wow. Okay, what a journey. We've gone from the Andes influence to specific valleys, iconic grapes like Malbec and Torrontés, the craft of winemaking, the vibrant culture.
We covered a lot of ground.
It's crystal clear why Argentina is such a major force in the wine world. You should definitely feel pretty well informed after all that.
Absolutely. It's that amazing combination, isn't it? The high-altitude terroir, the different climates, and this deep, deep passion for making great wine. That's what gives Argentina its unique identity.
Yeah. And thinking about that interplay, altitude, soil, passion, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's next? What new heights will Argentinian winemakers reach? What undiscovered terroirs are still out there waiting?
It's a great question. The story is definitely still unfolding. There's so much potential still being explored.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all those sources and diving deep into Argentinian wine with us.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating topic.
We really hope it sparked your curiosity, maybe even firmed up those travel plans to Mendoza.
Or just inspired you to try a new bottle.
Definitely. And hey, if you're already thinking about other topics, other rabbit holes you'd like us to go down in future deep dives, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you.